Welcome to the Open Mic Podcast Show with Mike Midgley.
Hey, and welcome to the Open Mic Podcast. And in today's episode, we're going to be discussing the topic that's essential in today's modern sort of digital world, and that's automated online business. So we see automation every day, and initially you might not recognize this. However, when you take a real close look at what goes off on your devices, whether that's your laptop or your mobile phone, you'll receive an email from an online purchase, maybe a reminder about a subscription at a gym membership, something along that lines, even a recommendation online, which is, other people bought X when you've added something to a shopping cart. Or even if you've got a great brand and you're working with great brands, you might even get an SMS text message, from your favorite brand. So what I'm talking about there, that's all automation at work. Some are transactional, some are relationships, some are educational, but we do take it for granted. And it's not actually until, we really start to put automation into your business that you really can understand the benefits. But, for those skeptics out there, we don't have to also feel like a robot. With all the artificial intelligence out there, data breaches, whether it's Cambridge Analytica, Facebook, all these other things, and the biggest thing I hate, which I love to open debates with people about, is how poor the government are supporting digital initiatives. And I know the politicians are going to say we're doing this and we're putting so many millions in, but I know across Europe it's pretty poor. In the UK it's not much better, and it can always be confusing where to start. So in this episode, I'm really excited to be joined by Geni Ramos. You can check out Geni at GeniRamos.com. I am going to have a go at this, Geni. LaConsultoriaDigital in Barcelona, Spain, who's going to go over this exciting topic that we should all be embracing, and that's of automated online business. So welcome to the show, Geni. I sincerely appreciate you taking the time from Spain today.
Hi, Mike. It's such a pleasure being here. Thank you for the invitation.
It's an absolute pleasure, and I'm really looking forward. Spain's a little bit close to my heart. When I was 21, I went back to college and started to study the Spanish language, and I'm not going to embarrass myself too much there. It is quite a few years ago, but I do love going over to Spain and spending time over there. Recently, not recently, but in the past few years, I went to Barcelona and actually visited the Seat factory, and I got a tour around the Seat factory, the car manufacturer, and had a few days in the city and had a beautiful time down by the Olympic Village and things like that. So a beautiful part of the world that you're coming from today. So I really appreciate it. And for those who's not come across Geni before, we were in for a real treat because Geni's what I would say, a true specialist in automated marketing. And one of the first, in fact, the first Infusionsoft partner in Spain. Geni also resides on the Infusionsoft Partner Advisory Group, and that's known as the PAG. And she's helping shape the partner community, the software to really help boots on the ground and help the company over in Arizona. So she's really well thought of in the community. Day to day, Geni's really looking at automating clients' daily processes, the communications with the clients, and also the sales strategy. A little bit more about Geni's background, although she is going to tell us a little bit more about her in a moment or two. She's strong in social media with a social media background and helps, focus her clients to understand how important it is to, have a powerful online reputation and, one that really integrates together. If I were to summarize what Geni does, Geni puts the internet to work for you. So if you're serious about making the internet work, you need to be visiting GeniRamos.com. You can visit on Twitter at Geni_Ramos, and that's GENI_RAMOS, or visit her at GeniRamos.com as well. So again, it's great to have you on the show, Geni, and tell us a little bit more about you. Hopefully I haven't embarrassed you too much there.
Thank you so much, Mike. Well, I have a weird story, I could say. So as you said, the governments don't really care a lot about small business and don't care a lot about, not caring, but I was finishing university when I was 22 actually. And I had I just went home one day and I was thinking, God, what am I gonna do next? No? So I remember one of these teachers at university saying, hey, well, you speak English, so just grab a bag, go to the UK, try to work for a little bit, and then come back with some experience. Because in Spain, if you don't have a certificate and if you don't have experience, they will not give you a job. So basically that's what I did. And I'm so grateful that the UK gave me that opportunity, because it allowed me to first discover this amazing world of the online businesses and digital marketing, because that's where everything started. Absolutely. And after that, I basically discovered all these marketing strategies. And I remember going back to an amazing event that Dan Bradbury.
BGS. That's a blast from the past.
God, that was great. And I remember seeing Ryan Dice and I think Ryan Dice and someone at Infusionsoft. I'm not sure if it was the CEO or whoever. Yeah, and it was so great. And at that moment, I realized I could actually have an online business and travel the world and have my online clients and just have flexibility. So after finishing work at an events company and then at a marketing agency, I decided I did the Infusionsoft certification, and I saw the opportunity in Spain, and I decided to grab my bags and, move everything from the UK to Spain again and go back home. I was actually a little bit homesick because, the culture is different. And I was so grateful for all my friends and all the work opportunity I had out there, but there was something missing, no? So I had to go back.
I think what happens, and I could certainly relate with that, Jenny, because I look back at my career, and although it's not worked internationally, although I have worked out abroad, but not full time or anything, I've worked with clients abroad. You go away, it's like when you go to America, whether that's Infusionsoft or HubSpot, or you go to Digital Marketer Traffic, TNC conference, you get all these ideas and you want to just take them home, don't you? And I can relate to that. So if you've got that experience and your mind starts to work about what could I do with this back home, and that's exactly, so I relate with that. It's a great backstory there for sure.
And I just realized that you can have this amazing opportunity and have your own lifestyle, the way I wanted, because I was hating going to work every day, 9 to 5, and just had to be sitting in front of a desk. Like at the moment, I spend at least 1 month in a different, every year I decide to go with my boyfriend to a different country. This year we spent 1 month in Colombia, and last year we were 1 month in the Dominican Republic. So, you have this flexibility, and I can work mornings, afternoons. I don't work Saturdays and Sundays, and I try not to work on Fridays. So, you put your own agenda. And of course there are tough times, because that's the truth, but then you get so much back that it's amazing.
I don't think until people have really taken control of their own lives that they appreciate the power that you have. And, it's not all sat on a beach with a laptop, but it is hard work, as Jenny said.
Oh, no.
So, if you are contemplating, taking that move, if the listeners are contemplating taking that move to go into a digital or an online business, then, certainly stay tuned. Jenny's going to give us a bit more backstory as well. But think about it this way, it takes a hard amount of work. So if you're unsure about it and we don't get all the questions covered in this podcast today, you can use the hashtag #TheOpenMic or hashtag Growth Engine, shoot us a message. We'll reroute that to Jenny. Or again, you can check out Jenny on Twitter at Geni_Ramos. And I'm sure, Jenny, you'll be happy to answer some questions for them if they're unsure.
Yeah. And it's all in Spanish, but don't worry, you can tweet me in English and I'll come back to you. And just on to finish out, it was amazing, because when I went back home, I started to realize that I could reach out to people that are influencers in the digital marketing and in the online business. So when I went back home, basically with a couple of phone calls and a couple of emails, I was like, oh God, this is real. Like I'm living off my own services, and then you don't have time and you need to redo the whole business strategy again. But it was great. So going back to Spain was a good move. And at the moment, we are serving over 100 customers in Spain and Latin America. So
that's amazing. I remember the first time I met you face to face was at Mark Summers's event in Alicante there. And I remember, I think I was going back about end of 2015, beginning of 2016 or something like that, first time I actually met you face to face. And I know you'd been in the business a while and you were getting started, you were trying to find your place and things like that. So, trust me, I got a smile beaming, ear to ear here to see how well you've done to acquire that amount of customers and serve that amount of, and help so many small businesses. And especially internationally as well. So a massive congratulations. And I knew you'd done well, and I knew you'd grown, and I knew you'd turned into more of an influencer than just a contributor. But I didn't realize it was high as that. So that's an amazing result. Congratulations from us all for achieving that.
Thank you so much, Mike.
No, it's a pleasure. So let's get started. So if you're serious about thinking about automated online business, you're thinking about making that move, you're already in it and not really doing so well, you think you're rocking it and crushing it, but you maybe want some extra strategies just to get you to that next level. Well, buckle up tight, guys. We've got this session with Geni Ramos and we're going to get some serious points covered. So let's get started. So what we try and do for the audience is, and the listeners, Geni, is do some sort of basic stuff, some more advanced stuff, as you know. So really, let's just start out, when we talk about automated online business, when people, the listeners are thinking about it, what tools are required? Where would you start somebody out?
So I love to think about an online business like a traditional business, okay? So the first thing that you need is a place to put your product. So I like the store, no? Yeah. So basically that is your website. So for me, the first step, well, that would be the first tool, no, that you need. But it is important that before making the decision of creating your website, you have a clear vision of who is your target market and more or less what you're going to sell. So, okay, you don't need, that's not going to be the final version, but you will definitely have a clue of what's the target market there. So once you have that clear, website is my first priority. And let me say you something, it's not important to have a massive website with 1,000 tabs and 3,000 things. No. Simple website with a contact form at the end, a clear vision of how you can help your customers. So that would be my first, the first thing.
Because being online today, we talk about, we'll talk about it maybe later on and touch on it, but certainly it's that buyer's journey. It's how people buy today. What do? We want to find something out. We go to the Google, we search and we find, and the website is a great part of a starting point. So awesome.
And then recently I'm helping my sister. She's a dog groomer. So imagine that as an online business. So the second step we are taking is creating content. Content is super important, not only for you, so you have a documented version of what are your processes or what kind of things you can share with your customers or prospects, but also it's a great insight in social media. So for me, the next two tools, super important, are social media, having Facebook profile, Instagram, LinkedIn, whatever your target market is.
Where they hang out type of thing,
Exactly, because then the other question is, do I really need a LinkedIn profile? Well, if your customer is in LinkedIn, you definitely need a profile there.
Certainly in the UK, and I'm sure it's globally, that B2B feel, a lot of business customers are right there in LinkedIn, and you can even access even more data, things like with Sales Navigator and things like that, and the premium subscriptions to LinkedIn. But absolutely, so where the audience is hanging out, social media, it's not going to go away, Geni, so that people need to embrace it, start getting moving forward.
No, and actually at the moment we are with a big launch with a client, and social media is being like our right hand in the whole strategy. That's where people are in touch with what's going on. And also, so we have the website, we know where are we going, the target market, we have our social media and our content. So now we need to make money and save the information somewhere. So we definitely need a solution, a tool that allows you to have a CRM and an email marketing solution. And there's loads of options out there. We use Infusionsoft, but there's HubSpot, there's ActiveCampaign, and MailChimp is not a CRM, but you can start with MailChimp. It's cool.
And I think with that one there, guys, for the listeners out there, this is not a complicated thing. There is horses for courses. Jenny's, as she's mentioned there, she uses Infusionsoft. It's a phenomenal tool for, for that right size of business, from holding the contact relationship management in there, the automation that Jenny's going to touch on later on in the podcast. But like I say, if you've looked at that before and you're not quite sure, and then again, you could reach out to Geni at GeniRamos.com, and she'll sort of give you a little bit of guidance whether that system's right for you or one of the others that she's mentioned. But ultimately, it's not, I suppose, Geni, what I'm saying is it's not always about just trying to sell them a tool, is it? It's about getting the right solution that makes it work for their business.
Absolutely. And when I was starting, for example, I had a free account with MailChimp, and that's how I started. So, depending on your customers, depending on the amount of contacts that you have in your mailing list, there's a lot of factors that will allow a specialist or, an advisor to let you know which tool is the best one.
That's the best one for you. Absolutely. Great point.
And the last tool is you need to sell, basically. So whatever you need to make money. So remember, if you are giving services, just I don't know what tools in the UK can allow you to create invoices, but we do have one in Spain that is working a lot. It's called Hold It. It's just, you create the invoice, people can go in and pay for it. And it just needs to work for you. Or if it's an online store, like an e-commerce kind of business, so you probably need to look at something like Shopify or WooCommerce or something like that.
Yeah, and just to answer that question for you, and again, for the UK listeners of the show, Jenny's example over here would be something like Xero or QuickBooks, so that's xero.com or QuickBooks. So they're the accounting packages that you can send an invoice out and then they can link to a merchant account. That merchant account here again in the UK could be WorldPay, SagePay. In the States, they've got Authorize.net. But the most popular one and easy to get started is Stripe, isn't it, Jenny? The Stripe accounts for merchant accounts to hook up online credit card payments.
Yes, so Stripe is a great tool. And let me tell you another one that is out there and now it's competing against Stripe is Braintree. And that's a solution from PayPal. And it's giving a really pretty cool rate in Europe at the moment.
Wow, so that's Braintree.com, yeah?
Yeah, that's one.
Brilliant. So what we'll do as well for the listeners, we'll put these type of links beneath the show. If you're listening to this on the podcast app, as I say, we'll put the links in here. If you're watching it on the blog or the YouTube channel, the Growth Engine YouTube channel, we'll put those on there. So you will, don't worry if you're in the car and you can't pick up these resources. We'll put the links in there and you can go and check them out. And again, as I said, if you need any sort of clarification or you just want a trusted advisor who's not going to pressure you, there's too many. I don't know what your view on this, Jenny, is, but I still think digital marketing is like the Wild West. It's unregulated. There's people doing things that maybe they shouldn't be doing. And I think people like Jenny, who's, not cleaning up the sheriff in town, but she does an awesome job. She'll get you the best solution for what you actually need. So if you just want to shoot Jenny a message at GeniRamos.com, I'm sure she'll, steer you through the Wild West and avoid the gunfights that some of these people put out there. And, for me, for those who follow my stuff, they know that my background's very corporate, came up in the finance industry in the UK. So we're regulated. We used to be regulated by everybody. And then you come to the digital marketing and there's people having gunfights in the street and nobody's getting arrested. So it's a bit of a strange one. So I like to work with people and be associated with people who do it right. And Jenny's certainly in that too. So quick summary of that. Obviously, we get the website, we get the social, we get it, we get all that sort of working right. We get the place to store it. We get the e-commerce and the merchant stuff from the tools. So that's what we call a tech stack, as would be maybe a better phraseology. Anything to add to that, Jenny, on there?
Well, I think that the key here is getting all these systems connected some way. Yeah. So if you struggle to connect your systems and they don't integrate naturally, just there's no integration, I would definitely ask you to have a look at Zapier, which is a great tool out there that allows you to connect different systems, and it's pretty simple to use. Yeah,
it is. So it's very much like we've all been on holiday. If I go to Spain to visit Jenny, I've got a 3-pin plug. I think you got 2-pin plug in Spain or something. We have a travel adapter, and think of Zapier.com or Zapier.com as that travel plug where you can take one system, plug it in, and it talks to another one. And yeah, it does some pretty incredible things, that, Jenny, doesn't it?
It does. It does. It has really saved me a couple of times.
Saved your skin in the digital world. Okay, well, thanks for sharing the tools. And I think it's important, to be thinking about sort of processes in there. You mentioned about what your journey was, how you got started, and you had some ideas. And sometimes entrepreneurs can get lost with all the ideas and you're thinking, hey, what am I doing here? Or what am I doing there? So when we think about, automated online businesses, we've got to think about processes. So why is getting your processes understood so important, Geni?
Well, for me, getting the processes understood and working, because that's the second part.
Absolutely.
Because a lot of people are like, oh yeah, I know my processes. It's like, okay, where are they? No, are they working? Are they just in your head?
Absolutely.
So it is important just to have clear what your processes are. And I think that once you have that vision of what is going to happen, it is important doing two things. First of all, document, put on a Word file, doesn't really matter. What are the steps? What is happening? What's going on your end, on the client's end, or whatever is happening? Because that will allow you two things. One of them, think if you can actually automate that process. But on the other side, if you are hiring someone else to do that process for you, or you are contacting a freelance or whatever, you are able to just give them that document and say, okay, this is a process, I need you to do this. And it's going to save you so much time because unfortunately, entrepreneurs, what they do is think, okay, I have everything in my head and there's no one else out there that can do that process for me. And that's not correct. I thought that 1 year ago, but it's not correct. Okay, there's people out there that can help you and you can sleep at night time. It's fine.
Absolutely. So when we talk about processes, Geni, let's just sort of drill that down a little bit more granular. Okay. Give us a couple of examples that if you sort of get involved with a business to put the automation online, what are the core processes that you might want to sort of, help the audience and the listeners sort of get clear on?
I'm an absolute freak about this. I love it. So, okay, I divide the processes in advertising processes. Yep. That's where you invest money to capture prospects. Yep. You get the marketing process where you nurture the prospects to have the necessity of buying something from you. Yep. You have the sales processes where you actually make them do a money transaction with you, and that's where the exchange of money happens. You have the fulfillment processes where you send the book, the shoes, whatever you are selling, you
deliver the goods,
deliver it, exactly. And then from my point of view, there are some internal processes that differentiate your business from my business. Yes. So for example, everyone knows that Google has an amazing process to select new people to come on board. So that's an internal process of Google that they use. And I think that every business has their internal processes.
Yes. No, that's a great breakdown. And thanks for being specific. And I just want to sort of pick up on something, and for the listeners, I see it often where people think advertising and marketing are one and the same thing. And what Geni's just done there is give you a very clear definition. So, if you are in the car, listen to this on the app, just hit the rewind button and just replay this or drag it on the video and go through that stage process where, as Geni's talked about, what the difference between advertising and marketing is, about how you attract people to your business there. But the marketing side is more of nurturing and taking those people through and getting them ready for, preparing them for sale, and if it's right. So often misunderstood. It's a question that I guess I asked a lot when I do my sort of speeches and consultations. What is the difference between advertising and marketing? And that's a great example. So thanks for sharing that, Geni. It's just something, I apologize, you'll find we go off script quite a bit here, but what I like to do is really draw out those gems. And, for those who are fairly new to it, it might seem obvious or not, I don't know, but that, it's worthwhile just getting that split down, because, you don't want to be getting blurred lines here. You want to know where the exchange happens, very much like, as Geni said, where the money changes hands. That's a very clear definition. I agree to buy something, you agree to fulfill or deliver on it. And ultimately there's an exchange of money or services in return. So same with advertising and marketing. Thanks for pointing that out, Jenny. That's a great way. Just expand on those internal processes a little bit more for us. Are you talking about the way that the business operates from an operational, or is it more linked into the fulfillment side? What are you talking about there?
Well, I can give you an example if that will help. So for example, in the advertising side, we can put up and running a Facebook campaign to capture new leads that want to know more about how to save time and money in their business. So they basically click the link and they finish in a website, in a landing page. Okay, so that would be the advertising campaign. Then we have the marketing side, which will probably be a landing page that is, okay, if you are interested in this, put your name and email address here, and you can access a free online training. So that's capturing a lead that we know that they're interested in that topic, and they're still not prepared to buy, but they are probably gonna buy in the future if things go well.
They've raised the hand, haven't they?
And that's the marketing. And obviously after that, there's gonna be some nurture actions that we do, because we cannot just think that people are gonna buy because they visited this website. No,
there's a process to go through there. Yeah.
Exactly. So basically from there, probably on the video, we are gonna give all the free content on the training, and at the end we are going to give them an offer for being a first visitor, for being a specific time of the year where we are doing a flash sale or whatever. And that's where we know that if the prospect is finishing or is staying until the end of the video, they're interested in knowing how me or how the business can help them save time and money in their business. So if we are keeping this 100% automated, the ideal would be having a payment button at the end and just get them to buy an online consultation or get them to buy an online course where we let them know how they can create, how they can save money and time in their business. So
no, that's brilliant. No, thanks for the detailed explanation there. And I suppose that leads in really nice to, we talked about making an online purchase. But it's not just about buying that purchase. It's all the build up and the launch around that. So if we were looking at the essentials around online product launches, Jenny, what would you say the key areas to consider in that department?
So 1 year ago, I was in Traffic and Conversion, this really big conference. Is the place to be when you are a marketing consultant or you are in this online business world. So one thing I really liked about Ryan Dice saying is, and Ryan is the CEO of the company that runs the event, he was saying that at the end, although you are dividing all these processes, there are two key things. We need to think about all these processes as at the end as one single process that has to be super smooth, and they don't really need to actually see where the line is between marketing and sales. That's okay. At the end, marketing and sales need to work together to make things happen. Okay, so years ago, we would probably see in the corporate world the marketing team being like super freak and with all this flower power kind of thing, and the sales team like calling and all this. It's not about that. Like both teams need to work together, and if that happens, that's gonna give a great success. In a launch when you are launching a new product, and we specialize in digital products, we basically had to think about these processes, how these processes work together, and also what is the customer experience on all of this. Like Exactly. So I did an online course with 6 Division, an American business, and they were all about this customer experience, and I really liked it. And it's all about how do you want the customer to feel through this experience, but also, and this is more in a launch, although there's a lot of emails, landing pages and stuff like that, and people think that there's like some black magic behind the launch that is going to make you a multimillionaire. I would definitely think that in a launch, there's a key topic that is copywriting. And not a lot of people are investing in copywriting and content, and how do we say, because copywriting is not only about emails. It's about the text that we put in landing pages, the sales script, or even the marketing script that we are putting in a video. So for me, I would say that in a launch, we have 80% copywriting and, everything behind the copywriting on how we communicate, how we say things to the prospect to make them become a customer. And there would be a 20% of tools, obviously, but there has to be a story behind the launch. I think that's the real success. And getting the person that is launching the product, getting them connected to the target audience that is interested on what he's gonna sell.
It's really interesting, Jenny, you cover that there. And we went through the Jeff Walker product launch formula years and years ago. And then I rebought it for my son, Jamie, because when Jamie came into the digital world, we got the 2017 or 2016 version or something, whatever it was, just to sort of bring it up. Because I think I really did it back in 2010 or something ridiculous like that. And I thought, hey, I wonder what's moved on. And, Jeff Walker is like one of the kings of product launches, of course. And that story, and he talks about the reluctant hero or whatever. And if you want to learn more about PLF, you can check out at jeffwalker.com or productlaunchformula.com. Or, of course, speak to Jenny, and she'll help you put that together if you want somebody to help you steer and navigate from there. But it is that storytelling, because that's what people do. I spoke to Rob Drummond on the podcast. I think, are you familiar with Rob? I think you know Rob. Yeah. Rob Drummond on the podcast, and that was all about storytelling in marketing, and it was a phenomenal listen. So if you jump back into the open mic on the App Store or Google Play Store, or you can get it on Stitcher or anything like that, go and listen to the podcast with Rob Drummond, and he expands on Jenny's point there about storytelling in marketing and how it gets people to move emotionally. So, if you say, I don't have a story, I've got a pretty boring life, but my product's awesome, then, well, your product might not just be enough. They need to know that how it's come, what it is about you, why, how did you find out that it worked? And that's what you're talking about. And copywriters, they are worth their weight in gold. Absolutely worth their weight in gold. And I know that people think they're expensive sometimes, but think of the cost of a failed launch versus the cost of the investment.
Totally. And this came out in a conversation. We were in Colombia this February. I had a conference there. I was speaking at a conference. I had the pleasure to meet Erico Rocha. Erico is so Jeff Walker has different people that speak about the product launch in different languages. So Erico was speaking at the event too, and he's basically selling the product launch in Brazil and Spain. And now, so he was all about, I love what you do. And he was like really into what I did on the automated businesses. But the conclusion, like at the end, what he said to me is like, it doesn't really matter if the tools work or don't work. What is really important here is the copywriting and the storytelling. Correct. And when you get one of these guys saying that to you while you're having a gin and tonic, it's like, okay, like that is the key. And it does make a lot of sense, because if you cannot communicate with the right words, if you don't connect with your audience, it's so difficult to get out there.
I think the thing with that, especially, and again, we don't want to get too hooked up into the Jeff Walker PLF thing here. We want to keep it on Jenny's point, but just on the launches, if you think about it, they talk about the sideways sales ladder and how you go through that. But if you lose them early on, you never get to show them how great you are at the middle and the back end. So getting that copyright up front. So, make sure you allocate some budget, I think, is one of the tips that we've got here, to make sure you hire a good copywriter. If you want some free resources on copywriting as well, I started my journey with copywriting in the 90s when I first subscribed to Dan Kennedy at GKIC, and I bought Magnetic Marketing, I think 1995 or something. And then obviously from there you build out, and although one of the world's greatest copywriters are dead now, but you check out GaryHalbert.com, Drayton Bird. These are the obvious ones. There's so many other great ones. So I apologize if I missed some. Perry Marshall, all those type of people who are great copywriters. And, even though I'm not asking you to sign up for spam, because these guys won't spam you, but just sign up to the lists and just see the type of emails that come out and see the copy. And, don't just copy it and paste it, think it's going to work for your business. It needs to be personalized, but just see the structure and try and read through the matrix numbers coming down and see how these world-class copywriters deliver copy into your inbox. And then you can learn. So if you don't have a budget to get started, and you haven't got the money to hire a consultant, but you're interested in copywriting like I was in the 90s, then go and subscribe to somebody's email letters. And it's easier today than it is ever, Jenny, isn't it? Because, when in the 90s, the internet, when 94, 95, I don't think the internet was born. I think I did it off a fax or something. And then, I got this whole folder with some CDs and DVDs come through the post about 6 weeks later on my magnetic marketing. But today you can go on, you can search them, you can opt into the newsletters and just see the quality that delivers. So that's an awesome tip, Jenny, on the copywriting, and thanks for sharing that.
No, and we need to invest on ourselves too, and that's a big point when you have your own business. So just make a purchase for yourself, because that's pretty cool. Like when you go to a conference or when you're buying an online course for you, it is important to be up to date. And in the online business is even more important, because you blink, and now we have bots and we have this and we have that. That is like, oh God.
We've missed it.
We've missed it, exactly.
Yeah, there's a great saying, isn't it? If you physically take a breath or stand still in digital, you go back a year or something. So you got to just keep going at it. Exactly. Brilliant. So thanks for that. So I suppose as we start moving forward that journey, we've talked about bringing it at the top and bringing them through. And then we talked about you enter an email address. And that's sort of what goes into what we call a marketing funnel, or a sales funnel, or a marketing funnel, or a combination of both. So I just want to be clear and take this back to a little bit of granular basics, Jenny. The word funnels is used a lot, sometimes often misunderstood, and many are broken. So help us understand what you mean when we talk about fixing your funnel.
So basically, I get loads of clients like coming to me. It's like, I have this massive funnel here. And I'm like, oh, okay. And is it working? No, it's not working. Why? Because there's many things that are done wrong. But apart from that, there's a couple of things that people don't take into account. So they think that just that a funnel is a plug and play kind of thing that just works. And it's not like that. You need to spend time and you need help with if you're creating an online funnel. So I will go back to what I said about the customer experience.
Yeah.
I think we need to have a clear vision of who is your target audience in order to create a good customer experience. And then obviously think about the marketing basics, just not try and get to pay straight away, just saying, okay, well, put your email here and now we have captured the email, and then we go one step further and they'll probably need some time to decide if they want to buy or not. So, we need to follow up. And a lot of times people don't realize that they are creating funnels that themselves would not even look at one day. I'm not sure if I said that properly.
No, I get it. I get it. Yeah.
Like, for example, I had this client coming with, one of these machines kind of things. And I was like, God, there's so many emails in here. Did you read all of them? And he was like, no, I had some merge fields that I just had to fill in. I was like, but you really have no clue what this is all about? Yeah. So what we basically did is went back to basics, and I love going back to basics, because if something simple is working, why do you want to change it? Like, we don't need a complicated funnel to work. We just need something that makes sense for the prospects or makes sense for the customer, and we need to know how to communicate to them. So basically, when I'm speaking about fixing your funnels, first of all, I go through, do you know the whole funnel? If the question is not, then just go back and read your own emails and everything. Make sure that you know the customer experience. And if all of this makes sense, then look at the numbers. I'm sure that if you look at the metrics of your online process, there is a place in the funnel where the numbers drop.
Yeah.
And that is the place that you need to fix.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And it's super simple, but what does the people say normally? Oh, I don't have time. I haven't looked at that numbers for years. And it's like, okay, well, you need to have a weekly, we have a weekly report for our funnels. And we have a pretty simple funnel that sells a recurrent product of 37 euros. So we have a membership. And we sell that 100% automatic online. And we update our spreadsheet every single week. Yeah. Because the week that we see that the numbers go down or something happens, we change the advertisement, we revise the copy and check if things are correct. So we need to keep an eye on the numbers. That's a very important thing.
I think it's a great point. And, when we're talking about funnels is really, it depends which industry you look at and which software tools and which methodology this week is the flavor of the month. But, if you boil it down to the basics, there's a top of funnel where the awareness comes in, there's the middle of the funnel where the consideration happens, and there's the bottom of the funnel where the decision starts to happen. And again, you can split that into various other sort of subsectors, but just think of top, middle, and bottom. And what Jenny's talking about in more detail there is with looking at the numbers is make sure you've got a key metric at each stage. And, because why Jenny says it's super simple. And for those who are thinking, well, I don't really understand that. Let me just sort of give you a quick example that I try and share with people. If you are not getting people to your landing page, then the rest of the funnel becomes irrelevant, because then you've got a problem in your traffic line or your awareness line. So that's an advert issue, or an advertising issue. If you're getting them to the landing page, but they're not opting in, then it's a landing page issue. And, is the copy wrong or is the video wrong? If you're getting them to the landing page and they are opting in, but they're not progressing to a consultation or a demo or downloading a tripwire document or anything like that, then you can then start to subsect out into that funnel to say, hey, this is where it's breaking, or this is where it's slowing down, or this is where, we're seizing up. So you don't have to sort of look at whether it's a simple or a complicated funnel. You don't have to sort of say, where do I start? It's just, is my traffic where I need it to be? Is the conversions into the funnel okay? Am I getting enough leads into my sales team? And are the leads even qualified? So you can do it and just start from there. And I think we've got some examples out of the Infusionsoft space as well, Jenny, that we can put in like lifecycle marketing where we can show them. So I'll put a resource into this podcast for something like that as well. And again, if you want to find out more about that and you want Jenny to take a look at that leaky bucket or that leaky funnel for you, just check out GeniRamos.com, and I'm sure she'll be able to sort of, at least get you on the right path. So it's a funny thing is funnels, because people always think, what is a funnel? Or what is this? How is it broken down? So there's some funny stories there in and around those for sure.
Absolutely. And they think that there's that they need to pay like thousands of dollars to get things done. And it's just not like that. I mean, you can have a simple funnel. And if you have for me, if you want to have a funnel, first start with a simple and then escalate what you have, like build it up to the next level. But don't try and become a ninja from minute one, because that's pretty difficult.
You mentioned a company earlier, 6th Division. We went through the academy similar with that one.
Oh, so amazing. I went through the online course, yeah. Yeah,
so I think I remember the example you're giving where Brad turns up to the Disney hotel and they give him the awesome customer experience. They read his number plate, they know his kids' names and all that experience. So I get all that. But there's something that Brad Martineau says at 6th Division where... And he says, ninjas don't start out as ninjas. They've got to train and go through the course to become, black capes, sword wielding ninjas. So start simple. I think that's a great piece of advice. And, some of the most high converting funnels can just be simply like Jenny said, a landing page, put your email address in there, deliver a resource, whether that's an ebook or a video, and then get them to take the next action. And that can get them to demonstrate authority and really help you start to work out what your online business model is going to be. So that's great. I'm glad we share some common ground there, Jenny.
Yeah,
for sure. So that's really good. So I really appreciate you sharing those sort of online sort of journeys in the automated business market. But I think what I'm really excited about is this next stage. You started in business, I think was at 24 years old, young entrepreneur, come over to the UK, back to Spain, globetrotter these days, spending time in different countries, escalated up in your, and respected by your peers in this space. Well, not just in the Infusionsoft space, but in the digital space. So being a young entrepreneur in this digital sort of crazy world, but exciting world, tell us more about that experience and, how you started your journey and the highs and lows of being a young entrepreneur at 24 and things like that.
I think I have this entrepreneur thing like in my veins because my dad and my mom are entrepreneurs too. And I think that really
helps.
It really helped. I mean, I've seen all of their businesses at home and I've learned a lot. And I remember sometime when I was speaking with just a guy that helps me out with some accounting things. Yeah. And he was like, but how old are you? And I'm like, I'm 24. And he's like, I thought you were like 35 speaking like this. And it's because, I've learned from them my whole life and I love it. I love just having that flexibility and being your own boss. And basically, I paid my whole university degree by serving. I had a little bar in my hometown. I was doing mojitos. So apart from all of my marketing thing and my background on online businesses, I'm a great mojito maker and, you know, all these cocktails, because I paid my whole degree doing that. Wow. And I had my own business at that point, although I knew it was not going to be the final thing. Like I was not going to be doing that my whole life. But
it's a great grounding experience, isn't it? You learn and you learn the commerce sections and you take it on under your own sort of your own wing type of thing. And it's a great grounding exercise.
And also you understand people, because that's one of the toughest parts. I get the opportunity to see pretty amazing businesses that then the owner or the employees don't listen and don't understand what the client really needs. And I think that is all about the values. And I have a great opportunity stepping into this online business and having the opportunity of having great mentors and learning from all the infusions of partners, which I have to say it's an amazing community.
Yeah, absolutely.
And, you know, like Mike here, and I had the opportunity to meet 20 more ICPs that we just build up this great relationship, and you learn from all of them. And I think that one of the keys that I've always done is just listening, learning from every single experience. And I remember going back from that trip that we met, I had a pretty bad experience with a client. So I sold infusions to them, and they did a massive kickstart, over 2,000 euros, something like that. And basically she was like really nasty to me on the phone, and she was like really being mean. And you learn from all of this, because there's always the first refund, there's always the first weird client that calls you and says nasty things. And you need to learn from other people that have already gone through these kind of situations and not do exactly the same thing, but learn from it. And that was tough.
I tell you what, Jenny, as well, I had the immense privilege to interview on the Open Mic podcast a guy called Henry Kaminski Jr. at the Brand Doctor or Unique Designs earlier this week. And I think that will get published before this recording. But for the listeners, if you know what Jenny's talking about here is some of the dark sides of getting it wrong or not down and down, and the story that he has, the rise, the fall, the rise and fall again, and getting it wrong and learning from those mistakes. We'll keep it on your point, but I just want to sort of reference if you really want. A major rise and fall and rise and fall and rise again, and he's gone again the third time. That guy, what Henry had to go through was unbelievable. And you talk about sometimes customers being mean. He shared a story yesterday when we recorded this earlier the week, about how somebody automated bots and character assassinated him, automated online, nearly brought his business down to his knees. So, there is some horrible people out there. And, and what Henry mentioned, and this is the main point I want to get to, is he mentioned that he accepted the responsibilities, that he maybe didn't have all his processes fully dialed down right. But, the customer was a hard work as well. So, if you are out there, it's a partnership thing. Customers own equally the responsibility in digital. It's not just all the consultant's fault. So, no doubt we can always improve and learn every day, but, the customer shares a big part of that. And, and I find that if a customer's not prepared to, carry their weight of the relationship, then we really shouldn't be working with them, because their expectations is wrong. And, whether it's right, wrong, or indifferent, I suppose is a debate for another day. But check out that. And if you want to learn more about Henry, just check him out at The Brand Doctor. So The Brand DR on Instagram is his favorite channel there. And that's an amazing story. So check that out as well, Jamie. You might feel good about it when you hear Henry's story, for sure.
No, and you hear all these weird stories, and it's also about the market, because let me tell you that we are still on a recession in Spain, and being an entrepreneur is not easy, okay? No. I'm paying hell of a lot of tax every single month, and we don't get, like, from like what you were saying at the beginning, we don't get help from anyone. Anyone has come to me and said, look, I want to help you. And even in Latin America, with all of our clients, they really struggle. And then struggle in the sense that they basically don't have resources. And sometimes even the internet goes down and stuff like that, that here in Europe would be like, no way, the internet is not going, or stuff like that. And it's just, you need to be grateful of all of this. And sometimes people say, well, but you are in Spain and your business will not grow as much as someone in the States and stuff like that. And let me tell you something, that's not real. Like, I just went through a launch with a Colombian client. We went over $1 million in revenue.
Congratulations.
And that was absolutely amazing. And she actually is in the financial sector, and she wanted to prove that the world was wrong. Yeah. That for being in Colombia, you can actually do a launch that is over $1 million. That's why I went to Colombia for a month, because I had to manage the launch with her. And she's a woman too. So it's like, she's like cutting with the stereotypes out there, no? Saying, hey, I'm a woman, I'm in the financial sector, I'm selling an online product, and we've done over $1 million in revenue. So amazing. For me, the message to everyone out there that is doubting if they start their own business, if not, if this is for them, just give it a try. Because trying is not being right or wrong, is doing it right or learning from the situation. For me, it's always a positive move.
It is, and you learn, and you know, the loss that you could potentially make early on, if you do take it on board and learn, it will save you a lot more money with because you will lose again in future. You know, you'll hit the wall, as I call it, or you'll bounce off it. But if you do a learn and you apply every time, then you know you're going to start moving forward. So that's an amazing journey, and congratulations on the £1 million launch as well, Jenny. That's one hell of a case study.
That was tough. Yeah, I'm still building up the case study. I think it's the first time I say it publicly. So you have the premiere.
Absolutely. It's only going out on Apple and Android, etc., Google and that. So it's only going out globally. So you're okay for that. So, but no, congratulations again, because, you know, I know how hard it is doing the launches, and I know how much work needs to go in. And I share a quick funny story, just so if you are thinking about launching, you don't always have to do it the Jeff Walker way or the PLF way, as we call it. But it is the way in some degrees to follow the matrix. But I had a client, and he did sort of gym fitness. Well, it wasn't a client, it was a prospect actually. And he got referred to me. He says, hey, and they said, hey, Mike, I understand you're a practitioner of Jeff Walker's product launch. He said, yeah, I did lots of product launches and things like that. And he says, here's my idea. So I took him through the process, Jenny. And the guy saying, well, you know, I want to get it out in 4 weeks, and I want to do this, I want to do that, another. I said, like, whoa, you know, we got to get this down. What's your story? How much collateral have you already got? You know, and I know.
4 weeks.
Yeah, and I said, no way. And the guy wanted to spend £3,000, was like $4,000 to do everything, include paid budget. And I'm saying, look, you know, you're hitting a very competitive market, being the leisure and gym market, the bid strategy in traffic and things like that. And he said, well, are you telling me you can't help me? I said, I can help you. I said, I just can't work with the tools or the time frame that you have. And sometimes it's really, really, really unrealistic. So if you are working with somebody under a true launch environment, the amount of work, the amount of dedication, the amount of skill, and give credit and respect to people like Jenny who studied that, because there is a science and a formula to getting that right. And don't just think, hey, Jenny, you know, in Colombia of all places has done $1 million launch, I could do that. That is exceptional. That is an exceptional situation. And, you know, and I suppose it's the value of your transaction, I suppose, makes a big difference, but that is an amazing, amazing result. So that's not,
we are think, so it is difficult, because when you hit the number, you are like, oh, and it's the same. Like I was like literally crying on the phone with my client, like saying to her, like, this is is so amazing. But at the same time, you've done so much work to accomplish that. That is just, it is. And I think it was more for what I was saying before, just to let everyone know that it is possible. If someone does that, you know, the 4 mile run, right? Yes. A lot of people tried it, and then someone came and did it, and in the next year 7 more people did it, and that's what she wanted to prove to the market that it is possible. So it's amazing. Yeah.
No, well done. So that's certainly one of the highs. You mentioned earlier about one of the lows as being an entrepreneur, where somebody attacked you. Maybe you just want to share us a couple of the lows that you've had as well. I don't want to finish on that, but I just want to make sure that, people get context that, $1 million launch here. The reality of that is that doesn't happen every single day, guys. Let's be absolutely realistic.
No.
So some of the other lows that you've faced and things like that, Geni.
I think that the lows come more in the personal life, because we do put a lot of pressure. I put a lot of pressure on what I do, and I really want to be really good. So sometimes I don't keep balance of my personal life and my professional life. And that means that I gain weight, I don't go to the gym, I'm in a bad mood because something happened at work, and I'm just saying to my boyfriend, fiance now.
Oh, congratulations.
Oh, wow. It's just, I'm getting used to it. So, and he's like, why are you in a bad mood? And it's like, I'm not, I'm okay, but I am. And that is one of the toughest part, because at the end, for me, you live once and you need to do it. You need to go 100% on whatever you do, and just being conscious that your business is consuming your energy and you are not good. And when I say not good, I'm not saying that I feel tired and things. Like, I had anxiety, and I had to literally get a coach and work all that mindset part on me, because I was like, I couldn't sleep. That is terrible. When you see that the professional side of it's, and that affected me. I remember perfectly, June, 2 years ago. Yeah. 2 years ago on June, I had 1 month just before the going to Dominican Republic. I had that moment of 3 weeks where my brain couldn't work. And that is terrible.
Yeah, it just overtook you. It just consumed you.
Yes, and it's such a shame, because I've always done a lot of sport and I always wanted that balance between the professional and personal life. And when you see that you are affected by what's going on, it's not good. So if you are feeling that, just get a coach. That's the best investment you can do. Stop working, go on vacation for a couple of days. You will see that you can go on vacation 2 days and nothing will happen in your business. It's gonna be fine. And these small things that I had not a personal crisis, but I had that moment where it was very difficult for me. And I'm so grateful that my family supports me, my friends, and James, my boyfriend, support me too. And it is better if you have people that are there.
Yeah, supportive partners for sure. But, and congratulations for having the courage to speak about that as well, Geni, because, a lot of people bottle that up, and as they bottle it up, it gets worse. So getting it out there, and like you say, getting a coach, for the right type of person, the coaches are worth the weight in gold for sure.
And let me, Mike, sorry.
No, shoot.
Now I'm good. And I think I have that personal, that balance. And still, I see my coach once a month or every 6 weeks. Yeah. So if you have your own business, definitely get a coach there, and he will just be your best friend for some things. You can tell him or her, and it's great.
It is. No, absolutely. And it is that objective viewpoint. So, but back to the highs, and what the value that you've given, Geni, today has been absolutely tremendous. So thank you very much, and congratulations on the success and journey so far. I think the value that you delivered here has been phenomenal. So what I'd like to do for the listeners is get you to wrap up into 3 sort of, bullet pointed tips. As a pro working in the automated online business arena, what would 3 tips you would have for somebody either wanting to get started or maybe somebody who hasn't figured it out yet? Where would you start with them?
I would say probably the first point is make things personal for the prospect. So although it's the online business and things can get really techy, just think that the person behind the screen is a human being. Think about the customer experience. Think about that marketing journey that you are designing. Just make things personal, because nowadays the tools out there allow you to personalize things. And apart from making a better conversion on whatever marketing strategy you are doing, it's just gonna make more sense for everyone.
Brilliant.
So that's my first tip.
Yeah. Thank you.
Personal. Then the second tip, it's numbers are key on a business, and more in the online business, because it is true that you can work from a laptop from wherever you are in the world and just have internet connection. But it's also true that what your customers are paying and your the costs of the business are always, you just need to be careful always with that. So on the financial side of the business, it's important that you have a good plan of what's going on in the next 3 months, and plan it and sit down for a couple of days and decide what are the focus on the next 3 months, what are your goals, economically, and also in the just on the business side. No, so for example, my goal this last 3 months was moving all the emails and things like this to a new person. So we hired a new person to take care of the customer service. So that was one of my goals. Yeah. And it is important that you get the metrics from all of this.
Absolutely. The data doesn't lie, does it?
Data, exactly. Data doesn't lie. No, and you need that for funnels. You need that for getting paid at the end of the month, or every single thing. So keep an eye on the numbers. That's important. Excellent. And third, but not least, and this is something I always loved what Sixth Division did on their course. And I think that sometimes simple is better. So simple first, ninja is the next step. And people think that creating an online business, you need to become a ninja on day one. And it's not the case. Things that I have to say, my own marketing is pretty simple, but it works. Why do I need to change it? So just don't think that that if you want an online business, you need to become a super ninja and being super techie. It's not important.
No, that's great. I think they're also 3 great tips. And, if you're listening there, just dial down on those, because ultimately, especially the last thing, I think the Brad Martin of the Sixth Division, he has this, the saying, pursue simple. We have that on our wall of appreciation. So we have the sticker on the wall. I'll send you a picture of it afterwards.
Send it to me.
It just says pursue simple, Brad Martin. That's it. And it just does what it says on the tin. So it's a pretty awesome saying. So Geni, again, it's been an absolute pleasure having you on the Open Mic podcast today. Again, the value you've provided is exceptional. So thank you very much indeed. And if you'd like to learn more about what Geni and her team are doing, including the $1 million launch, then go over to LaConsultoriaDigital.com. And I apologize if that's not quite great, but I will put that in there. Or, of course, you can visit GeniRamos.com. That's GeniRamos.com. You can follow Geni on Twitter at Geni_Ramos. And I'm sure Geni will be happy to open a conversation with you and see if she can help you. And, if there's a good fit, then, maybe you could be the next £1 million launch for Geni. And,
Don't send me more clients. Thank you, Mike.
So thanks very much again, Geni. I've really enjoyed speaking and catching up with you today. It's been awesome.
Thank you so much. It's been an absolute pleasure.
It's a pleasure. So thanks for tuning into this week's show. We hope you've enjoyed it and we hope you've got some real value. As always, to make sure that you get in the game, go do the hustle, go make it happen. And we're going to catch up with you on the next episode of the Open Mic real soon. Thanks for listening.
You have been listening to The Open Mic, brought to you by the Success Hub. To find out more and to get the resources we have mentioned in this podcast episode, simply visit blog.thesuccesshub.io and view the podcast section. Thanks for listening, and we look forward to catching up with you in our next episode. This podcast and associated materials is published under copyright to The Success Hub. All rights reserved. No reproduction of this material is permitted.